Hi, welcome to The Art of Yoga with Cat Justice, and this is the first in a beginning yoga series. So this series is designed for people who are brand new to yoga, people who are returning to yoga after maybe a little bit of a break, or someone who's had an injury and maybe needs to start their practice again from the ground up, or even for very advanced practitioners, people who've been practicing for a long time, who really want to get back to the basics of what yoga is all about. And part of the fun thing that I'll be doing throughout this series is we won't just be focusing on the asana or the postures in yoga. We are going to be exploring the full philosophy behind yoga as well. We call the practice the Ashtanga, or the 8 limbs of yoga. So we're going to work all 8 limbs, all 8 aspects of the practice into these sequences so that you can breathe and move and feel your body practicing the physical side of the poses, but also at the same time learning and practicing a little bit more of the philosophical and the ethical and the metaphysical properties of yoga as well. It's going to be super fun. So to start out, it's nice to know just a teensy bit about where yoga came from before we start jumping into the postures. So super Cliff Notesy version. Yoga is an ancient practice. It came from India. And so myself, as a white person practicing yoga, I want to honor the fact that I am, on some level, appropriating a tradition that is not my own. It's a tradition that has a lot of meaning to me, that I've been immersed in for a long time, or a large period of my life, but it isn't part of my own personal cultural tradition. So I want to offer it up as just an acknowledgement that it is something from the tradition of India, the tradition of non-white people, and by me practicing it and by teaching it and giving it to you on some level, I'm acknowledging that I am appropriating it, and hopefully I am doing so in a way that honors the practice, that honors the tradition, and that honors all of the teachers that have come before and brings more joy and goodness and happiness to the world around me. So let's get started. So we're going to come to begin into child's pose, which is a really nice, I call it often the home base of yoga. It's a really nice place to come to any time that you need a break in your practice. So to practice child's pose, you're going to bring your knees slightly apart as you sit back on your heels, but it might be that as we come into the pose, the knees feel better together. So you can kind of play around with what feels right for you. But you're going to relax forward. Some people like to stack their fists and rest their head on the fists. Other people like flat palms, or you can have straight arms. Another option, if the cat's not in the way, would be to have your arms back at your sides. So you just choose whatever of those arm positions feels the most comfortable to you. And if none of these feel comfortable, you can take the pose and flip it on its back and hug your knees to your chest and practice it right here. Wherever version you're taking though, whatever version, go ahead and come into child's pose. And as you're there, you're going to feel your breath moving through your back. As you inhale, you're going to feel your back open and expand. As you exhale, you'll feel it draw back in. So when we practice the physical postures of yoga, the Sanskrit word for it is asana, and that's one of the 8 limbs of yoga. Another of those 8 limbs, though, is pranayama, which means breath control or energy control. It's a breathing practice. So when we start to feel the breath moving through the body, that's another aspect of yoga that we're practicing. And then from here, go ahead and gently rise up onto your hands and knees. As you come onto your hands and knees, you're going to spread your fingers so that you can feel the ground under your hands. If your knees are sensitive, you can always take a blanket and fold it under your legs. And another aspect of yoga that we are going to be exploring today is that of Ahimsa, or non-harming. So Ahimsa is part of the first limb, that first of those 8 limbs of yoga are called the Yamas, or the restraints. So the first restraint is non-harming. So we don't want to hurt ourselves. That's what we're going to focus on today, being good to ourselves. So as you exhale and find cat pose, gently drop the head, press the floor away, let the back round. And then inhale and switch to find cow pose, where you gently arch your back and move with your breath, exhaling for cat, rounding, dropping the head, and inhaling for cow. And to practice Ahimsa, we're going to think about moving in a pain-free range of motion. So it might be big, it might be small, but you're going to move in a way that feels good. And the second aspect of yoga that's going to help us with that is the second of the Yamas, or the restraints, which is Satya, which means truthfulness. So we're going to be honest with ourselves. If something doesn't feel good, we're not going to do it, or we're going to adjust so that it does feel good. Think about that pranayama, about letting your breath lead, let your body follow along. And then on your next exhale, go ahead and settle back into child's pose. As you come into child's pose, think of letting your hips, your arms, and your head all relax down. Again, any of those variations of where the arms go are just fine. Your hips might not touch your heels, that's okay too. And then on an inhale, gently rising back up. And then from here, we're going to work through our core a little bit. So you can tuck your right toes under and slide your right leg back. If you're like me and your foot comes off the mat, you might want to walk forward so that you can get that stickiness of the foot on the mat. From there, you're going to reach back through the heel, as if the heel could reach the back wall, but then you're also going to feel your heel lift up slightly. Your toes will stay on the floor to start, but lift the heel towards the sky, and you're going to feel some strength starting to work into the belly, into the thigh, into your glutes. And then nothing else moves, but you're just going to maybe float that foot just a little bit up off the floor. You know that your hips are steady if you suddenly have less weight on your left hand. So right leg and left hand. Maybe even that left hand wants to reach forward. Maybe it stays on the ground. Doesn't really matter as long as you feel like you have less weight on it, that you're unloading it. And then exhale, come on down. We'll take same thing to the other side. So you tuck your left toes under and slide the leg back. Make sure you're breathing, staying aware of your breath. Feel the left heel reach both back and up towards the sky. Feel that deep engagement from the belly, from the thigh. And nothing else moves, but maybe the foot just floats a little bit. From there, you should feel less weight on your right hand, and maybe it wants to reach. Make sure you're breathing. And then exhale, come on back down. From here, you're going to take your hands just a little bit in front of your shoulders. Tuck your toes and feel your hips pull back away from your hands. As the hips pull back, they're going to just gently lift up into downward facing dog. Now, downward facing dog, most people's hamstrings are too tight for them to straighten their legs. So start with your knees bent and see how it feels. Let your head drop down and feel your hips lifting away from your hands. So we want this nice flat back in down dog so that we don't strain our backs. If, however, it feels like, oh yeah, I've got a little room in my hamstrings, maybe I can straighten my legs a little more, that's fine. Just let your neck relax. Make sure you're breathing. Again, keep that pranayama going and keep that satya. If you're like, I can straighten my legs, but your back does that, that's not being truthful. So let's stick with truthfulness. Let's stick with ahimsa, don't hurt your back. And then on an inhale, you're going to come forward into plank. Here's another moment of satya in plank. If you need support, take a knee to the ground. It's just fine. Practice plank here. If you feel okay with both knees lifted, make sure that the hips line up with the rest of the body, that they're not jackknifed up or kind of sagging down. Feel that same sense of your heels reaching back and lifting up so that you get the support from your legs. And then we've been here long enough. Exhale, knees to the earth. Heart comes between the hands as you gently lower. And we'll move into cobra. Hands come right under your shoulders. Toes are going to point back as if you're reaching your toes away from you, but without lifting the feet. From there, the heads of your arm bones, so the top of your shoulder area, is going to lift away from the floor, and then you're going to pull with your hands, as if your hands could pull back towards your hips. Let your heart reach forward slightly. Relax the jaw, the face. Make sure you're breathing. And then to rise out of Cobra, you can either come first onto your elbows and then lift from there. That'll give you more support. Or if it's comfortable, you can try and lift your hips and your heart together. But either way, we're going to find our way back into child's pose. From here, sitting back, relax the head, relax the arms, however they want to be. And then from child's pose, go ahead and come back into downward facing dog. Bent knees, pull away from your hands as you relax your head down. Hips reach up and back. And then this time you're going to just very slowly and gently walk your feet towards the front of your mat. Have the feet about hip distance apart. Let your knees bend and let your body just fold forward. Relax the neck, the shoulders, the arms. Let them be loosey-goosey. And bend deeper through the knees and just gently roll on up the spine. Keep your knees bent until the very last moment. Add in an extra inhale at the top to circle through the arms. And then exhale and bring your hands back to your heart. From here, you can very gently step your feet to touch. You can either have toes and heels touching, or if you're like me and your feet are a little wide in front, maybe your heels are slightly apart, to find Tadasana or mountain pose. So in mountain pose, it's nice to close your eyes for a moment to just really feel your feet on the floor. Feel that gentle shifting of weight that will happen as your body searches for balance, for equilibrium. And then you're going to imagine as if each foot were a car, where the tires would be. And you want to try and bring equal weight to all four corners of the feet, all four tires, or 8 tires. As you find that balance, you can open your eyes. And then from here, very gently go ahead and step your left foot back. And we're going to take Warrior One pose. How far back you step the foot doesn't matter that much. You want to be comfortable where you feel strong, where you can feel that sense of feeling like a warrior. Bending through your front knee, you want to make sure you can see the big toe just to the inside of the knee. And your back foot should be facing mostly forward. And then your hip is going to follow along just at about the same angle as your pinky toe, that back hip. And then from here, you're going to inhale and reach your arms up towards the sky. Make sure you're breathing. Again, stay with that kind of low, slow, deep breathing practice. It's going to help to relax the body, help give you more energy. Feel that rooting and grounding through your feet. And then on an exhale, take the hands to the heart and just gently step the left foot forward, and we'll take the other side. The right foot steps back. Bending through the front knee, make sure you can see the big toe to the inside of the knee. Back foot faces mostly forward. And make sure there's enough distance between the feet that it feels comfortable on your hips. If the feet are too narrow, it's going to feel really jammed up in the hips. So heel to heel, or maybe even a little wider to feel comfortable. And then reach on up. Think about those four corners of your feet. Stay grounded. Soften the face, the throat. And then from there, exhale and step forward. We'll take now Warrior Two. So now the left foot's going to step back. And now you want a more narrow stance. Heel to arch can be nice. You're going to bend through that front knee again until you can see the big toe to the inside of the knee. And the arms are going to reach. The hips are a little more open in Warrior Two. So again, that back hip kind of follows along the angle of the pinky toe. but that back foot should be facing just a tiny bit towards the front foot. Breathing here, let your shoulders soften. You can imagine as if your arms are floating on the surface of water. Try and take the effort out of the arms, the neck, the heart. Put the effort in the legs, in your core. And then exhale, hands to the heart, and step on it forward again. And we'll take the other side. So now right foot steps back. Get that nice heel to arch alignment. Bend the front knee till you can just see the big toe. Root down through the four corners of the feet. And gently reach through the arms. Shoulder blades settle in the back. Feel that rhythm, that flow of your breath. And then exhale, step forward again. And coming back to mountain. The feet gently touch, closing your eyes. And just reconnecting to your internal world. The practice of yoga is a practice that brings you closer to your most deepest, most truest inner self. So the focus of our yoga practice is not on doing certain poses. It's not on what the body looks like. It's about connecting deeper to that deepest truth inside your body, inside your heart, your being. And then from here, go ahead and separate your feet. Inhale, circle your arms on up. And then on an exhale, it's like a little swan dive, but sit back through your hips, bend your knees, and let your body rest down. Again, let everything go loose, a nice deep bend in your knees. Let the head hang. Make sure it feels good. And then from there, you can slowly step on down to hands and knees. And then we'll come to seated. As you come to seated, if you want some support for your body, I recommend either a nice firm bolster or take some blankets and fold them and stack them to give your hips the support they need. So that when you come to sit in Sukhasana, or pose of ease, some people call it easy pose, but it's not always easy. So it's a pose that we should be able to cultivate a sense of ease into. It should be relaxing and comfortable. So if as you come into it, your knees are like way up by your shoulders, it means you need some more support. So get some blankets, pause the video, lift your hips up so that your hips and knees are close to the same height and that you don't feel any strain or discomfort into your lower back. From here in Sukhasana, go ahead and just rock a little bit on your sits bones or your pelvis. So you can exhale and just rock back a little and inhale and rock forward until you find that sort of what we call a neutral pelvis, where you're not too far forward or too far back, but you're kind of nestled onto your sits bones or those pokey bones at the base of the pelvis. From here, as you find that nice neutral pelvis, then you're going to think about just landing or bringing your heart right over your hips, your head right over your heart. And take a moment here, hands relaxing onto your legs, palms up. Close your eyes and just once again reconnect with that internal world, with what's going on inside of you. Soften the face, the jaw, the belly. Let your breath just gently move in and out. And thinking again of those principles of Ahimsa, non-harming, and Satya, truthfulness. And then from here, we're going to move into just a very gentle twist. So you can open your eyes and taking the back of the left hand to the outside of your right knee. And you'll inhale, lift your right arm up overhead, and exhale, the right fingertips come down onto the floor behind you. It might be on the floor or on your propped up bolster or blankets. And you're just very gently going to twist. As you twist, think about finding just the first point of resistance in your body, and then breathing there. Don't worry about forcing it too deep. Feel your breath with every inhale, maybe bringing a little more space into that tight zone. With every exhale, let things soften and let go. And exhale, gently unwind and switch the cross of your legs. So the other foot is in front or on top. Same thing to the other side. Back of the right hand to the left knee. Inhale, left arm lifts, and exhale, bring it on down, and gently twist. Relax the face. Noticing where you feel tension in the body. And think about lifting and opening into those areas. And exhale to gently unwind. And then from here, go ahead and bring the soles of your feet together. This one's called Bandha Konasana, or bound angle pose. So you're going to bring the soles of the feet together and let your knees just gently open. From here, you can take hold either around the ankles if that feels nice and secure, or another option would be to interlace your hands. You're in the way, kitty cat. Meow meow. Interlace your hands and wrap them around your toes. From there, you're going to lift up as tall as you can. If, as you're lifting up, your lower back is like, nope, we don't lift up, then maybe instead of these two hand holds, maybe it would be better for you to take your hands at your hips and lift up from there. That's great. This is an excellent place to practice the pose. Or if you can comfortably hold at your legs somewhere, maybe you want to hinge forward. You just want to come forward where your body is flat so that you're not slumping forward, but that the first part, if you were to continue on the trajectory that you were on, the first part of you to contact the earth would be your belly. Second would be the heart, and last would be the head. So we keep the body nice and tall and long. We don't worry about how far forward we come. Relax the shoulders. You might be able to feel your hips maybe opening a little bit more if that feels good. And feeling your breath just moving in and out at a nice comfortable rate. And then inhale, come on back up. Take the legs straight forward. From here, you're going to lift tall. Call this Dandasana, staff pose, bringing your hands at your sides. Maybe they're back by your hips, helping your lower back get some support and some lift. From here in staff pose, maybe you want to stay right here, just feeling that support and that sense of lengthening upwards. Maybe just like in bound angle, you can come a little bit into, we call it Paschimottanasana. It's a seated forward fold, but with that flat back coming forward. So not hunched, not rounding, not reaching for our toes. We're lifting up. Use some of that strength from the belly. Support the back as you come forward. Ahimsa, don't hurt yourself. Satya, be true to where you're at. And then inhale, rise it back up. And now we're going to come onto our backs. So you can scoot any little pillows or blankets aside. And as you come onto your back, go ahead, take your feet flat on the floor with the ankles relatively under your knees. And then we're going to roll up and down from bridge pose a couple of times. So from here, you're going to curl your tailbone under and vertebra by vertebra, inhale, lifting up the hips. Think lift to a comfortable height. Ahimsa and Satya. Exhale, gently roll back down, one vertebra at a time, like pearls on a string. And you're going to inhale and roll up. It's okay if it takes a couple of breaths to roll up. I'd rather that you move slowly. And exhale to roll back down. But think about slowing down your breath as well, so that the breath and the movement become coordinated. They all slow down at your own pace. Inhale to lift. Exhale to lower. And after you've done 3, we're going to take one more where you inhale, roll on up. And this time, if it feels good, go ahead, hold at the top. Notice if your knees are splaying out to the sides, and think about aiming your knees straight forward. From there, your arms can rest at your sides, or you can kind of walk and scoot your shoulders under. Maybe your hands just come to your sides, or maybe you can walk them under so that the hands interlace. It doesn't matter so much, but it's nice to walk the shoulders under a little so we get that feeling of lifting our chest away from the earth, but not at the expense of making our neck unhappy. Breathing here. And then as you exhale, gently release the shoulders, vertebra by vertebra, roll on back down. As you come all the way down, go ahead, hug your knees to your chest and gently rock side to side. So this is a version of Balasana, of child's pose, just upside down. And then from here, we'll take one more gentle twist. So with the feet on the earth, you're going to lift your hips and scoot them over to the right. Like they just step over to the right one little bit. And then as you exhale, your knees will rock down to the left. From there, you're going to let your arms open out to your sides. And you want it so that both shoulders stay in contact with the earth. If that left shoulder is lifting up away from the earth, or the right shoulder, sorry, is lifting up away from the earth, lift your knees so that the shoulder can rest down. And from here, your head can turn whatever way it feels best. You can look to the left, you can look to the right, or anywhere in between. Feel your breath dropping deep into the belly, the lower back. Slow the breath down, and really let this twist be passive. It's okay to close your eyes if you want to draw deeper into those internal sensations. And then inhale, gently bring the legs back up. Scoot the hips back to center. And then we'll take the other side. So scoot the hips over to the left one little step. As you exhale, the knees run into the couch. They roll to the right. And then make sure that that left shoulder stays in contact with the ground. And again, your head can turn any way it wants to, anywhere it's comfortable. Let your body melt. Feel free to close your eyes. Slow down your breath. Try and see in your mind's eye if you can feel where your body is tightest, where it feels the deepest stretch. And that's where you want to think of breathing. Imagine as if your breath could go into those parts of your body and open them on the inhale and soften them on the exhale. Your breath becomes like a massage. And then slowly inhale to come back up. Scoot the hips back to midline. Maybe one last little hug of the knees into the chest. And then the best part of any yoga practice is the end. It's Shavasana time. Literally translates to corpse pose, but I like to call it relaxation pose because I don't really like to think about being a corpse, but just me. You can bring the support under your knees if you've got some, if that feels good on your back, or you can just let the legs rest flat. You're going to have arms and legs at a comfortable distance out, palms facing upward. If it feels like you need some support under your head whenever you're on your back too, you can always grab a pillow or a folded blanket and place it under your head. But either way, you're going to close your eyes and just let your body melt. Still feeling the breath moving in and out through the body. Feeling that slow rhythm for your breath. And coming back to those core principles of Ahimsa and Satya, of non-harming and truthfulness. And maybe taking this time as you rest in Shavasana to think about aspects of your life where those ideas would have meaning. What is non-violence like in your life? What does that mean? How can you cultivate more of it? What does truthfulness mean to you? How can you cultivate more honesty in your own life? Or sometimes Satya can mean making space for other people to tell their truths, to listen to the truth of others with an open heart. Or maybe as you rest here in Shavasana, you want to just take a moment to just notice how good your body feels after doing that little bit of yoga. Either coming back to your practice after a break or a change, or for the first time trying something new, seeing how your body feels. And you can always stay here, pause the video, rest for longer. But when you're ready to come out, if you want to wiggle fingers and toes, you can just gently stretch arms and legs anyhow they feel comfortable. And as you're ready, hug your knees to your chest and gently roll to one side, resting on your side for a breath or two. I think I have a friend coming. And coming on up. Did you come up to be in a yoga video?
I tried.
Oh, you came up to be with the cat. Come here. He's very new to yoga. He's a very beginner. Well, thank you for practicing with me today. You want to say hi? This is Arden. And this is Lotus. Hi. Yeah, sweetheart. Thank you so much for practicing, and there's going to be more of these videos. I'm going to try and put out at least 6 to 8 beginners videos, all of which are going to build on the other, hopefully 8, so that we can get through all 8 limbs of yoga one way or another. All right, thank you. And at the end of every yoga class, we put our hands together, and we say Namaste, which is an expression that literally translates to the divine within me bows to the divine within you. And I think of it as an expression of connection and respect. So, namaste. Thank you so much.
Nice touch.
Nice touch. Yeah, nice touch with the kitty.